Coming up on News 11, a fire at the Fredonia McDonald's leaves 2 injured. Federal judges blocks National Guard in Portland. And Taylor Swift's fans fill theaters and stores for her new album. All this and more, News 11 starts right now. Good evening and welcome back to News 11. I'm Kellyanne Hender.
And I'm Alex Matt.
We have a lot of exciting stories to cover, so let's get started with your local news. 2 have been hospitalized following an explosion at the McDonald's location in Fredonia. Multiple callers reported the incident at 10:20 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th. The Fredonia Fire and Police Departments responded with assistance from the Dunkirk Police, State Troopers, All-Star Ambulance, and the Chautauqua County Office of Emergency Services. Many hands were needed to help as the crews were on scene for 3 hours helping the victims of this incident. A helicopter lift was necessary to transport one of the employees to ECMC, a hospital in Buffalo, while another was taken to a Brooks TLC hospital in Dunkirk. A third employee that sustained injuries was evaluated at the scene. The incident was ruled accidental by the Chautauqua County Fire Investigation Team. It was determined that an employee had pulled out the grill to clean it and in doing so had detached the main gas line. Natural gas was then flowing freely and was ignited by another grilling unit nearby. Luckily, safety features in place shut off the natural gas line and helped extinguish the fire and kept the damages minimal. The store anticipates its reopening to come later this week.
This past Tuesday, Erie County Supreme Court Justice Betty Calvo-Torres delivered a keynote address at SUNY Fredonia in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. UNIDO's student organization was held in the Campus Williams Center as part of the university's Intercultural Center Speaker Series and was free and open to the public. Calvo-Torres, who had been widely recognized for her commitment to justice and community empowerment, spoke on the theme of leading with a purpose and shaping the future of student engagement, inclusion, and belonging. Her speech was highlighted this message talking about pathways to leadership and the importance of fostering inclusive communities on and beyond campus. Students, faculty, staff, and community members gathered to hear her address and engage in meaningful conversations both honoring Hispanic heritage and the power of purposeful leadership.
Cassadaga officials are expressing optimism about securing a new ambulance for their fire department. After the fire department's current ambulance was out of service for 7 days earlier this fall, the issue had drawn significant attention. Following media coverage, representatives from Congressman Nick Langworth's office have offered assistance in finding a replacement vehicle. Village trustee Dana Dubois said the response has been, quote, amazing since it hit the news, end quote. The fire department is considering multiple ambulance options and hopes to submit a recommendation to the village board by October. In the month of August, the department responded to 30 calls, including 22 EMS calls, and relied on mutual aid during the outage.
Federal Judge Michael Romer had issued a recommendation that sides with the Seneca Nation in long-standing thruway dispute. The judge found that when the state attempted to claim a right-of-way through the nation's territory back in 1954, it did so without necessary federal approval. If accepted, the state's easement would be declared void, and New York would be ordered to negotiate a new agreement with the Seneca Nation. The nation says the state has been profiting from toll revenues on land it never legally acquired. Seneca Nation President Jay Conrad Seneca said in a statement, quote, Judge Romer's report is clear. The state continues to operate and profit from a thruway that it never had proper authorization to build on our territory, end quote. For decades, the nation had argued that building and using that thruway portion violates treaty rights guaranteed under the 2094 Treaty of Canandaigua. The nation will begin this week to press for court approval of the recommendation and force negotiations.
Great Lakes Cheese has been fined $475,000 by the New York State Department of Conservation. The DEC announced on Monday that these penalties came in response to an investigation into the water quality of Ishway Creek downstream from the cheese company's factory in Franklinville. The investigation discovered chemicals that are toxic to aquatic life, which are discharged from the factory. The DEC said that there is no impact to the quality of drinking water in the area. Of the money paid by Great Lakes Cheese, $250,000 will be paid to the DEC, and a further $150,000 will be put towards a project for environmental benefit. The DEC is requiring Great Lakes Cheese to evaluate their operating procedures and fully comply with all regulations before continuing operations. Great Lakes Cheese issued a statement apologizing to the community and everyone affected by the situation.
A mistrial was declared Monday earlier this week over a case of a man convicted for the murder of 33-year-old Deborah Meindl, who was stabbed, beaten, and strangled to death on February 17, 1993, according to documents. The man, also known as Brian Scott Lorenzo, was sentenced to 37.5 years to life in prison due to DNA evidence found on a necktie used in the murder in 2023. James Pugh, who was also involved in the case, was sentenced to 25 years to life and served 28 years before being released in 2019, with a new trial scheduled for December 1st, 2025. Currently, Lorenzo remains held without bail and is to return to the court for a pre-trial conference on October 23rd, 2025.
This past Monday, a car drove into the Niagara River from the Niagara Scenic Parkway, according to the New York State Police. The police have said that the truck reportedly drove off the parkway and into the Niagara River around 9:15 a.m. and was found submerged about an hour and a half later. All available emergency units responded, and a helicopter was visible searching the scene along with police on boats. Currently, there are no other available updates.
A former Buffalo police officer stands up to police injustice and is sentenced to 50 hours of community service. On Sunday, December 25th of 2022, Cariole Horn of Buffalo witnessed Buffalo patrol officers handcuffing and making two young women sit on the ground outside during a record-breaking blizzard after they had been seen looting a closed-down store. Horn approached the officers while they were conducting their investigation and demanded that the suspects be removed from the ground due to the piles of snow. The patrol officers commanded her to leave, and she refused. Shortly, the interaction turned physical, and Horn was grabbed by her jacket, detained, and arrested. This past Monday, the trial came to a close, and the jury determined that Horn was guilty on one count of obstruction of governmental administration in the second degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor. This isn't Horn's first run-in with the law, as she used to be her cop herself. However, she was fired in 2026 after attempting to choking a suspect. She then became a namesake for Cariole's Law, which allows officers to step in when they feel other officers are using excessive force. Cariole Horn will now have to complete 50 hours of community service as punishment for her crime.
Sabres fans everywhere will be ecstatic to hear that there will be new options on the menu at the KeyBank Center starting tomorrow night for the Sabres' first game of the season. Hockey season is on the horizon, and the chefs over at the KeyBank Center are planning to rotate their food selections every 10 games to keep fans and foodies coming back for more. The new foods include tasty twists on classic concessions and some interesting new options inspired by the Buffalo Sabres themselves, both past and present players. Season ticket holders will also unlock access to a new value menu with classics offerings priced from $3 to $5. The Buffalo Sabres Chief Operating Officer Pete Gwelly says around 850 tickets remain for the season's opening game. And with these new menu offerings, there's never been a better time to be a Sabres fan, end quote. And when we return, we will have your national stories. We'll be right back.
To Sofia and Gabriel, Miss Flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deployment of the National Guard in Portland, Oregon. Last Sunday, President Trump had called for the Oregon National Guard to be deployed in the state capital. Trump's reasoning is that the city of Portland has, quote, violent protests conducted by domestic terrorists, end quote. Federal Judge Karen Immergut had blocked the deployment by placing a temporary restraining order. Previously, she has condemned the actions of the president, specifically the use of the National Guard. The National Guard has attempted to sidestep and ignore the restraining order, as over 100 National Guard soldiers are currently on the ready to enter the city. California Governor Gavin Newsom has threatened to sue the president for using the California National Guard, calling his actions, quote, a breathtaking abuse of the law and power, end quote.
American farmers have struggled amidst President Donald Trump's trade war, with farm bankruptcies rising in the first half of the year to their highest level since 2021. Many of Trump's policies, including an increase in trade tensions between the U.S. and China and the deportation of migrant workers, have caused production expenses to grow, stretching American farms thin on resources. The Department of Agriculture and the Treasury have been meeting with the White House over the past month, working to finalize a relief package for America's farmers. Trump has suggested using a portion of the income received from his increased tariffs to help farmers, posting on social media that he will, quote, never let our farmers down, end quote. The White House meetings have also produced another solution, which would be to use the Department of Agriculture's Emergency Commodity Assistance Program, described by officials as a slush fund. The administration is currently looking to offer between $10 and $14 billion in aid to farmers. Officials say that Trump is prioritizing the agriculture industry because he believes protecting farmers is a national security issue. The agricultural sector facing the largest struggle is the soybean industry, where exports to China dropped from 50% down to zero as a result of China's embargo on U.S. soybeans. Trump blamed China for the struggles building against America's soybean farmers, and he plans to make soybeans an important discussion when he meets with China's President Xi Jinping in South Korea. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Roland stated that she is in constant communication with Trump and his administration in order to work towards a solution to the crisis.
This past Saturday, the South Carolina beach home of a state circuit court judge and her husband, a former state senator, was engulfed in flames. The home belonging to Judge Diane Goodstein and her husband, Arnold Goodstein, at Edisto Beach in Colontown County left 3 hospitalized after the blaze. Firefighters from multiple fire departments responded to the fire, and the St. Paul's Fire District made a post stating the people inside the home evacuated by jumping from the elevated first floor and were rescued from the backyard via kayaks. One person was taken by air to the Medical University of South Carolina, and the other 2 were taken to the same hospital shortly after. Mark Keel, the chief of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, said in a statement on Monday, quote, "At this time, there's no evidence to indicate the fire was intentionally set. SLED agents have preliminarily found there is no evidence to support a pre-fire explosion. The investigation into the fire is still active and ongoing," end quote. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster added in a post on X, quote, "I echo Chief Keel's call for everyone to exercise good judgment and avoid sharing unverified information while the investigation continues," end quote. Videos on social media showed the property with fierce flames and large amounts of smoke engulfing and rising from the home. At this time, the cause of the fire is still unclear and the investigation into it is ongoing.
Universal Orlando Resort plans to reopen its Stardust Racers roller coaster at Epic Universe more than 2 weeks after a 32-year-old man died of blunt force injuries after going on the high-speed thrill ride. Signs will be updated to reinforce existing warnings and eligibility requirements to help visitors decide if they should go on the dual-launch coaster, which reaches speeds up to 62 miles per hour. The family of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala publicly had urged Universal not to reopen the ride until all investigations were finished and they had a better idea understanding how he died. The medical examiner for the Orlando area ruled the cause of death as multiple blunt impact injuries and said the manner of death was an accident. Zavala had a spinal disability from birth and used a wheelchair, but his family's attorney said that his disability didn't cause his death on the 17th of September. Karen Irwin, President and Chief Operating Officer at Universal Orlando Resorts, said the ride at Universal's newest theme park had undergone an extensive operational and technical review that confirmed the ride systems had functioned properly and Universal workers had followed proper procedures.
This week, the popular pharmacy Rite Aid has decided to close their last 89 stores after filing for bankruptcy in May. Since the chain has closed, all of services listed on their website have been deleted. Left of the site remains previous customers' medical records and information on switching pharmaceutical providers for their prescriptions. The 63-year-old store initially filed for bankruptcy in October 2023 due to intense competition and outstanding debt, which topped $4 billion. The large sum was caused by expensive legal issues due to the alleged unlawful prescription of opioids. Rite Aid eventually emerged from their bankruptcy and gained $2.5 million to continue operations and cut around 500 stores. The pharmacy had 1,200 stores left after the 2023 cost downsize. Most of the Rite Aid stores were sold to competitor companies such as CVS, Walgreens, and Kroger. The transfer of companies allowed individuals who only had access to Rite Aids in their area to continue to fulfill their prescriptions.
Gavin Newsom, mayor of California, signed a measure on Friday that would allow rideshare drivers to unionize. There are more than 800,000 drivers for companies in California such as Uber and Lyft. This legislation will allow drivers to operate as independent contractors and bargain for better wages. They are the second state to pass a law of this nature, with Massachusetts passing one last November. Part of the law also reduces the state-mandated insurance costs that the ride-share companies must pay. This will allow for better compensation and benefits to those workers who unionize. These measures are overall projected to decrease ride costs and create stability and autonomy for drivers. California drivers have expressed their appreciation for the protection the state has worked to give them. And when we return, Elaine Fink joins us for the first time with our sports update, and we'll have your first look at weather. We'll be right back.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
We're now joined by Elaine, who will be giving us our weekly sports update. What's going on in sports, Elaine?
Thank you, Kellyanne. During the fall break, Fredonia sports teams were very busy. The women's volleyball team played in Morrisville, losing 3-1, and in Cortland also falling 3-1. Women's soccer was at home playing New Platts this past Saturday and won 3-2. Cross country was also home this weekend, hosting the Cara Hall Memorial Invitation, with more than 8 schools attending this event. Stephen Hallberg of the men's soccer team placed 7 out of 106. In Orchard Park, the Bills faced the New England Patriots on Sunday, falling 23-20 in the last 15 seconds of the game. The loss leaves the NFL without an unbeaten team. In a post-game press conference, Josh Allen said, quote, "We just played sloppy. Not going to win a football game, turning the ball over 3 times. That's just bad football. We just did not play good tonight," end quote. The Bills are slated to play the Falcons on Monday, and the NHL season has kicked off this week with the Buffalo Sabres slated to play their first home game tomorrow night at 7 p.m. against the New York Rangers. Now I'll toss it over to Kellyanne for our weekend weather. What's the weather look like, Kellyanne?
Thank you, Elaine. Today we saw a nice fall day with sunny skies and a high of 59 degrees. As we head into the night, we will see the temperature drop down to 42 degrees with some slight breezes. Tomorrow we will see a pretty similar fall day. We will have sunny skies and a high of 57 degrees, dropping down to 42 at night. The weekend will start to warm up a bit, so stay tuned. And when we return, we will have your international headlines. We'll be right back.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. Post office. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
The members of the Global Freedom Flotilla, a humanitarian aid mission to Gaza, were kidnapped by Israeli forces. The activists involved come from more than 44 countries to assist during this humanitarian crisis. The fleet of more than 40 small, non-violent ships left for Gaza in late August and early September in order to bring aid to the Palestinian people. They have been deprived aid in the form of food, water, medical care, baby formula, and other basic necessities. Hundreds of activists were taken into Israeli custody last Wednesday through Friday, and many have since been released. Those who have been deported have since spoken on their treatment while in custody. They have described inhumane conditions where they were deprived of food, water, clothing, and they were bound tightly enough to leave bruising. Depending on the countries that the activists originated from, they suffered varying levels of abuse and humiliation. Those who came from allied countries of Israel suffered less physical harm. However, others had broken bones, were suffocated, and were dragged across floors. Some, including famed activist Greta Thunberg, were forced to kiss and kneel to the Israeli flag and watch video of the October 7 Hamas attack on Israel. 170 flotilla participants were deported on Monday, including Thunberg, where she shared in the airport that the abuses they suffered are not the story that genocide is. She condemned powerful governments and organizations and urged the public to continue to watch Gaza. Israel's foreign ministry denies all claims of genocide and has denied all claims of abuse made by flotilla activists.
Protesters in Ecuador are rallying in the nation's capital against President Daniel Noboa. The city of Quito has been in protest against the rise in diesel prices for the past 2 weeks. This rise in prices is due in part by President Noboa and a fuel subsidy cut he made earlier last month. Police have slowly become more and more aggressive with attempting to put down the protest. During that time, one protester was killed and dozens have been injured. Nearly 100 protesters have been detained by both local and national police. Last Saturday, the Ecuador government declared a national emergency because of these protests. The next day, protesters demanded the release of many detained personnel, including 13 protesters who were charged with terrorism. The Ecuadorian government has been operating as normal despite the protests.
This past weekend, the Munich airport in Germany was closed due to several drone sightings. These delays came just ahead of Munich's hosting of their famed Oktoberfest beer festival this Sunday, which draws in millions of visitors from Germany and abroad each year. The airport first closed 2 runways Thursday overnight into Friday due to the sightings, but then resumed flights early Friday morning. Later that evening, drones were spotted again, causing the airport to close down once more. They reopened at 7 a.m. local time, and over 6,500 passengers were affected, with 23 flights diverted and 58 canceled or delayed flights. Europe has currently been on the edge for weeks with recent drone sightings over civilian and military airports in Denmark, Germany, and Norway. On Friday, Belgium officials reported an unspecified number of drones that flew over the country's Elsborn military base. A spokesperson for their defense ministry said on the matter, quote, "This is the first such incident we are aware of," end quote. And after the break, we look at Taylor Swift's newly released album, Fashion Week in Paris, and Bad Bunny set to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show this year. We'll be right back.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Taylor Swift has once again demonstrated her box office might with the official release party of A Showgirl, which debuted at #1 with an estimated $33 million in North American tickets sold. The 89-minute theatrical event, spanning October 3rd to the 5th, offered fans music videos, behind-the-scenes footage, lyric visuals, and Swift's own commentary. Launched with only 2 weeks' notice and minimal traditional marketing, the film was shown in all 540 AMC theaters in the U.S., a bold move that paid off. The strategic release coincided with the drop of her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, and reaffirmed Swift's ability to merge music and cinema. Industry analysts praised Swift's innovative approach, calling it a stroke of genius in harnessing her fan base to elevate a non-traditional movie event. Stay tuned with this momentum as many are watching to see where Swift takes her next cinematic experiment.
This past Monday, Mucha Prada's Mio Mio continues to inspire a politically unstable France at the 16th at the Lena Palace in Paris. The wardrobe appearing at this year's Paris Fashion Week alluded to themes of chic business wear with an edgy twist, including an opener of a dark blue warehouse apron dress. Prada is not only recognized as an acclaimed designer at these high-end shows, but also has a background education in political science. She has been noted to experiment with the idea of clothing representing, quote, armor through a feminine perspective, end quote. As the looks kept going, so did the motif of apron designs. Actor Richard E. Grant wore a black leather apron as he guest starred on the runway. Prada says, quote, I want to talk about women's work using my work, the apron as a symbol of work that can express multiple messages, end quote. The mix of everything from mini dresses to outwear brings Prada shows to life. Paris Fashion Weeks account for 3% of France's overall gross domestic product. To keep France growing towards positive change, the luxury fashion shows must go on.
Puerto Rican musical sensation Bad Bunny returned to hosting duties on Saturday Night Live amid some backlash at his selection as the 2026 Super Bowl halftime show performer. Despite Bad Bunny's immense popularity, some U.S. government officials and conservative media have detested this decision, primarily over his anti-ICE statements. The performer, who recently wrapped up a residency in Puerto Rico, chose not to include U.S. locations for this concert tour this year, explaining in September that he feared they would draw immigration agents. In his monologue in Spanish, he said, quote, more than being an accomplishment of mine, it's an accomplishment for everybody, demonstrating that our mark and our contribution to this country will never be able to be removed or erased by anybody, end quote. He added in English, quote, if you didn't understand what I just said, you have 4 months to learn, end quote. Bad Bunny's hosting duties Saturday marked a milestone for the show. He helped SNL wrap its 50th season by appearing as its musical guest, and NBC said it was the first time an artist had been billed on the last show of a full season and the first show of the next. Next week on SNL, the show will host comedian Amy Poehler, a musical guest role model, and the following week on October 18th, Sabrina Carpenter does double duty as host and musical guest. Now I'll toss it over to Alex one more time tonight for the end of the weekend weather. How's it look, Alex?
Thank you, Kellyanne. On Friday, we will see it get up to a high of 65 degrees. We may see a few clouds in the sky alongside the sun. As we head into the night, it will drop down to a low of 46 degrees. Saturday, we'll see it warm up a bit with a high of 67 degrees, as we may see some more clouds. It will drop down to a low of 46 degrees, and we'll even see more of those cloudy skies. And on Sunday, we'll have a mixture of clouds and its sun with a high of 69 degrees. We will see that increase of clouds at night once again as we drop down to a low of 49 degrees. And that's all we have for your weather this week.
Thank you so much, Alex. That does it for News 11. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes crew. We'll be back next week.
As always, thank you to everyone watching at home. Have a great night.